All right, testing. Let's go, man. Let's do this. We are back at it, man. Thank y'all for your patience. I know I haven't been putting out content like I normally do. I've been putting out content pretty well, but we had a funeral we had to take care of, and now we're back at it. So thank you everyone for your patience. I know there's only like 10 of you who consistently check out my videos, but if it's something you look forward to, then I'm sorry for the delay, but we are back at it. We are going to be talking about Xbox today. We're going to be talking about a few things. This is pretty much going to be a meshed together video. We're going to be talking about the Xbox showcase for 2025 that occurred in June. We're also going to be talking about the handheld. It's going to be a good portion of this video, and just what we saw at the showcase, what I think is going to happen moving forward, what type of improvements do I feel like Microsoft can make when it comes to, or I guess Xbox can make when it comes to their Xbox platform. So let's get into it, man. Can Xbox finally compete? Are they finally in a space where they can compete on a hardware level through software? Which is super weird, right? Super weird to talk about. But let's break it down. So first off, the Xbox showcase was really good. I like the showcase. I don't think it was like the best showcase ever. I don't think they had like, back-to-back crazy games, but they had some really good games. They had some games that I'm looking forward to, some games that looked pretty good, but you have to kind of be a little bit hesitant, a little bit tentative when it comes to these games. You don't want to get too excited. We've seen how that unfolded with Starfield, so we don't want to get too excited, but they have some really good games, man. Persona 4 Revival, super excited for that. If you don't know, I'm playing Persona 5 right now. I'm almost done with it, and my boy Cam got me onto it. I played Metaphor. That was pretty much my first Atlas game that I completed. The first Atlas game I ever played was P3, but I couldn't get into it. So almost done with Persona 5. I'm very excited to see this Persona 4 Revival. I know a lot of people have been talking about it, and I know it's been in the works. I'm very excited that we finally get it, that it's finally revealed. I cannot wait to play that game. I literally was thinking about playing Golden, but now I'm going to hold off for Revival and probably get to E33 when I'm done with Persona 5. But anyways, okay, so another thing I have to point out from this Xbox showcase is that Game Pass is fucking outstanding, okay? I'm not, and I just want to preface with this. I am not a fan of subscription-based gaming. I'm not a fan at all. I think it is a bad thing for gaming, and I think that if it is something that a lot of companies started doing, it could be to the detriment of gamers. And I just think it's nothing good is going to come out of it. That's how I feel personally. But it's really hard for me to keep that thought when Game Pass just keeps going hard. I mean, one of the first thing that stood out to me when it came with the showcase was that every single fucking game was dropping on Game Pass. Every single game that they showcased was dropping, and it was going to be available from day one on Game Pass. I mean, it was just such a flex. They were just coming out with these games, just showing them back to back to back to back. Available first day on Game Pass. Available first day on Game Pass. Available first day on Game Pass. And we're going to talk about why Game Pass can be a bigger deal than what it already is. Because if you're someone who games and you don't game a lot, like maybe it's just a hobby that you have every now and then, right? Game Pass is very appealing. It's very appealing because when you start, especially for consoles, they're not as cheap as PC games. They're getting cheaper, but they're not as cheap as PC games. For consoles, when you talk about each game being $60, $70, $80, and even when you get them on sale, maybe they're $30 or $40, you get them on OfferUp, they're still pretty expensive games, right? Like that shit adds up. So if you're someone who's new to gaming, or you just don't game that often, and you want to hop on Game Pass, and you're going to get all of these games, these brand new games, you're getting them immediately as soon as they release. I mean, it's really hard to not recommend that. It is. And like I said, I am not a fan of subscription-based gaming. The shit that Nintendo is doing with the GameCube games, where you have to pay a subscription to play these old GameCube games, I think that shit is horrible. Like, I do not like that at all. I think that is so anti-consumer, and they're just trying to squeeze money from the consumer, right? We talk about this. They're trying to squeeze money from the consumer. And I'm going to get on a little side note, but I think what Nintendo's going to do there is they're going to sell the subscription-based service for their GameCube games for games that they know a lot of people are going to want. Maybe they throw Twilight Princess in there too, right? They have Wind Waker. What I think they're going to end up doing, they're probably going to end up remastering those games or bringing the HD remaster ports for the games that were already remastered, and they're just going to switch them over to the Switch 2 platform and then allow you to buy them down the line. So they're going to be double dipping for the same game, right? But you're getting a newer product. Why can't they just do that already? And if it's difficult to do, I get it. At least make it to where you can buy this GameCube game through the online store. That way it's yours technically. You don't have to pay a subscription for it, and maybe it's a cheap price. Maybe it's like $10, $20, whatever, because it's such an old game. I feel like that would be better than forcing people to pay a subscription so that way they can play these old games. I'm getting beside myself, but when you compare something like that to Game Pass, it's very difficult for me to not recommend it. I mean, it really is going crazy. Like, it's fucking outstanding. And I'm not even like an Xbox fanboy. I definitely lean towards PlayStation more. And I try not to be biased to any console, but I just have to call it how I see it. Game Pass is fucking crazy. And if you think it's not crazy in terms of value, you're just in denial. You're just hating at that point. Like, even someone like me who hates subscription-based gaming, there's almost nothing negative I can say about Game Pass except for the experience and how it is on PC. That's where there's a big issue, okay? So when we start talking about the PC and Windows platform and the handhelds, which we're going to get into that, I promise. That's going to be the main crux of this video. But when we get into that, that's where the issues with Game Pass arise for me, not really Game Pass itself, right? So on that topic, the Xbox ROG Ally could be a game changer, okay? And I think it will be, depending on how the operating system is. We're going to get more into it later, but basically it's the operating system, right? Like, because if you're asking yourself, what's the difference between this ROG Ally X and then the other ROG Allies that are already released? Very few differences. You're right. On a hardware level, it's very few differences. The ROG Ally X, the Xbox version, is going to have a little bit upgraded of a processor inside of it. So it is going to be a little bit faster, but it's not anything that's going to be a huge jump or leap. Really, what we are excited, or what I'm excited to see here, is the operating system, okay? Because the operating system has been revamped and it's only coming out on this device for now before it rolls out to other devices. So basically, it's going to be like a dumbed down version of Windows where the actual Windows operating system is dormant in the background, right? Or at least this is how it was explained. And then the game UI, the Xbox UI for the game experience, is primarily what you're going to be navigating on through the device. So, I mean, this is a game changer. Like I said, we're going to get into it. I want to talk about other stuff first. But if they can pull this off and they can compete with SteamOS, and they start rolling this operating system to other devices. I know they talked about other handhelds. I'm interested in the Xbox platform itself. If they replace the Xbox software, I think they're calling it the Xbox. Let me see. Xbox full screen experience is the official term for it. So if they bring that Xbox full screen experience to their hardware and their future consoles, I mean, it may be a game changer, man. It may be if they put it everywhere, kind of like how SteamOS is trying to put their operating systems in more spots. If this is good and it can actually compete with the SteamOS in terms of where you have two operating systems in the same device, and SteamOS is outperforming it for a lot of games because it's running on that Linux-based operating system. It doesn't have all these background processes, right? Yeah, it can be a game changer. Another thing, I was surprised to not see Fable gameplay or a trailer. I really thought we were going to see something Fable. I mean, this is one of Xbox's biggest games that's going to be releasing, so I was surprised. I know they brought up how it is going to be coming out, but I was surprised we didn't see more of it. I thought it was going to be like a staple part of the showcase, and I was pretty surprised to see that they didn't put anything out there. But I mean, they had a lot of games. I knew we weren't going to see Elder Scrolls. If you watched my previous video, I already said we're not seeing Elder Scrolls. We aren't going to see Elder Scrolls, in my opinion, until it is ready to release that year with confidence. They know like later on this year, we are releasing this game no matter what, hell or high water. If that's not the case, I don't think we're seeing anything on Elder Scrolls 6 anytime soon. Or it might be a shadow drop. Maybe they learned from Oblivion and they're like, you know what, we're going to shadow drop Elder Scrolls 6 and see how it goes. So I don't think we're going to see it for a while until it's ready. Maybe 2027, something like that. So Outer Worlds 2 obviously looked phenomenal. Outer Worlds 2 looked phenomenal. I was a big fan on the first game. I know it was like one of Obsidian's first major games that they were trying to make away from like remaking other games or like doing additions to other games and stuff like that. They wanted to kind of create their own IP, do their own thing. Outer Worlds was great. I loved Outer Worlds. Like if I had to give it just a quick score, I'd probably give it like an 8 out of 10, 7 out of 10. It was a fantastic game. It did have some things holding it back, but it's kind of like you couldn't blame Obsidian because they're not as big as some of these other companies, right? And they were just trying to launch this IP so they could do more with it. And you can really see that in the Outer Worlds 2. Outer Worlds 2, I mean, the trailer they had was phenomenal. The gameplay looked amazing. Like wacky suits, wacky guns, like different types of guns, much more variety. And they already had some variety in the first one, but you can really see that they're just going for like that all out gameplay where you can really take it wherever you want to. And I know a lot of people are trying to compare the Outer Worlds 2 kind of to Fallout New Vegas. And you can kind of see that, like how Fallout New Vegas is kind of crazy. Like you can do so much shit in Fallout New Vegas, and it has so many weird instances and things that you normally wouldn't see in other games. And I feel like we're kind of getting that same vibe here with Outer Worlds 2. So I'm super excited, man. That's going to be phenomenal. I cannot wait. The Final Fantasies finally made their way to the Xbox. So I did talk about in my previous video how I thought Final Fantasy VII, the remake, was going to, the second part, was going to make its way to the Xbox. Finally made its way to the Xbox, but that wasn't the only Final Fantasy game. So Final Fantasy 15, I believe, also, let me double check. No, not 15, I'm tripping. So yeah, Final Fantasy 16 also made it over. So that's good. It made it over there. Very nice. Okay. So, I mean, that's cool. Xbox, you know, they have it now. So it's going to be very nice. Just more games going to other platforms. I love it. I don't mind. I honestly don't mind it. Like, I know exclusives are supposed to be a big part of a console, and it can really push that console a lot further than if you didn't have exclusives. I mean, look at Nintendo. Like, they push out so many exclusives, and you know, I talk shit about Nintendo all the time and their anti-consumer practices, and I'm always going off on Nintendo, but we got to call a spade a spade. Nintendo be putting in fucking work. I mean, they put out exclusives like it's nothing. That's literally what drives their product. It's fucking insane. So I understand that people are going to want exclusives, but I don't mind like these 1 year, 2 year exclusivity deals where it's only on that console for so long and then eventually other people can play it, because there's so many games out nowadays. Sometimes I don't mind if I can't play a game and I have to wait a year, with some exceptions like GTA, right? But yeah, I think it's a good thing, man, that more people get to play these games, you know? Gears of War Reloaded looked great. I don't think they announced the price. If I'm wrong, someone let me know in the comments, but I don't think they announced the price. If they did, though, I'm very interested to see what the price is going to be for that game. But it looked great. I mean, it looked great. I can't wait to see how it runs. I'm very interested to see how it is on PlayStation. If you saw any of my other videos, I think my last one too, I talked about this. Xbox has a phenomenal game plan going forward because they're really pushing their Game Pass to the people who have access to their products or are on Windows. And if you don't have access to their products and you don't buy in to Microsoft on that front, right, and you end up getting like a PlayStation or something like that, Xbox is still allowing you to play their games, but they're going to hit you with the tax. You got to pay the full price. So I think they have a really good game plan moving forward. And honestly, I think it's amazing how they kind of pivoted from losing that console war, because they were getting destroyed in the console war, and now I can see light at the end of the tunnel for Microsoft. Like, I can see this plan that they're starting to put into motion, and I may not agree with it, but I mean, it's pretty fucking smart if I do say so myself. So, as I said before, the Xbox ROG Ally is the main part of what I want to talk about in this video. It's bringing a new OS that will run off Windows, okay? But it's not the same Windows that you know and love, or that they've been using on these handhelds. So it's going to be a new thing. It's going to be its new OS called the Xbox Full Screen Experience. That's what they're calling it, okay? And it's basically like a Windows Lite version. So the Windows operating system still works. It still functions on the device. It just functions in the background, and it's dormant, and it's not taking up resources until you activate it. So let's say you need to go to Windows because you need to mess with the settings or tinker around or do something like that, right? If you have to do that, you have the ability to do it. You just have to activate the Windows operating system, do what you need to do, and then when you leave and go back to the Xbox full screen experience, where it's like more of a game UI similar to Steam OS, and it's better for you to navigate. It's not as complicated. It's not taking up background resources. At least this is the thought. This is what we're being told, right? So you're able to just put the Windows dormant in the background and then get back to the Xbox full screen experience. If this is a good operating system and it actually competes with Steam OS in terms of performance, in terms of battery life, just in terms of general UI, like how does it feel? Does it feel good? Can you stream from your Xbox to one of these handheld devices, so that way you get higher graphics? Or can you stream from your PC and run a Game Pass game off your PC and then stream it to this Xbox full screen experience, similar to how you can stream the Steam games from Steam on your PC to a Steam Deck or something of that nature? And I know there's ways to do that using Moonlight and downloading these applications and putting Apollo on your PC, because I do that for my devices. I know there's ways to do that, but we're talking about making it as easy for the consumer as possible, like literally just a plug and play. I think if Xbox can really make Game Pass extremely fluid and easy to use on this Xbox full screen experience, and I think if the OS itself is very nice to use, it's very satisfying, and it's fast, and it doesn't have extra processes running it down in the background where they're just using up extra RAM and they're able to free up all of these resources. I think we could see like a huge pivot in Xbox and their hardware, and how much they make up in the hardware market for consoles. Because imagine if this is a huge success and I know they want to roll out the Xbox full screen experience to these other mobile devices, but where I'm very interested in this is the hardware moving forward. Like, imagine if they put this Xbox full screen experience on their Xbox consoles, like the current ones we have, the Series S or X, or they come out with a new console and this is what's frontlining it. Like this is the new thing. Like they're like, look, here's the Xbox full screen experience. If you're just an Xbox player, here's why you're going to love it. If you happen to have a PC too, or one of these mobile devices, these handheld devices, here's why you're going to love it. You can stream to your PC device or to your mobile device like easy, like a snap of a finger. Or imagine if you could stream your PC, run your PC hardware, run a Game Pass game or an Xbox game, and you could stream it to your Xbox. So you're running higher graphics off your PC, but your Xbox is basically just projecting it to your TV. Like I see this going so far if the operating system is good. If the operating system is not good, it's going to be a little bit hard for them to do that, right? But I mean, I'm very excited for this. I don't see enough people talking about this or what could potentially come out of it. But if they can compete with Steam OS and it's successful and the people like it and it's something you like using and they can roll it out to other devices, I think it could change the game if they end up making another console to compete with PlayStation. Because the biggest thing with PlayStation is that so many people have been on PlayStation for a while because they've been dominating the market for consoles, that you built up this library. And if you purchased online or even physical boxes, you have this library of PlayStation games that you don't want to get rid of. But with Game Pass, it completely gets rid of that, because now it's just a subscription-based price of $10 a month, and you get access to all of these games. And you know in confidence that every single game Xbox owns that comes out in the future is going to be available on Game Pass, because that's how they're making it seem. And if that's the case, even AAA games that Xbox comes out with, it's really difficult to combat that. Like, it's really difficult to, like, if someone's just getting into gaming, like if I had a homeboy who got out of prison and he's like, bro, I haven't gamed in 10 years. I don't have shit. I don't have a console. I don't have any games physically or online. What's the easiest way to get into it? I would tell him Game Pass. Like, Game Pass is the easiest way because you just have to get the hardware, you plug it up to the TV, and then you do the sub, and you have all of these games available to you. And then later on, you can end up buying games if something's not available on there, right? But you have to get through all these games first. Good luck, right? Like, it's fucking insane. So we're gonna see. I'm very interested to see how this unfolds, and I think that the Xbox ROG Ally X can be a game changer, but not because of the hardware itself. Not because of the hardware, strictly because of the software and what it could do for the future of the company. So I'm praying that it's good, because on my Windows PC, that's the only reason I don't use Game Pass, is because I swear the games run worse using Game Pass through the PC. I don't know what it is, but when it comes to the software to play Xbox games on the PC, it is horrible. And I can only imagine for the mobile devices, the mobile handheld devices, it's also horrible, which I've heard it's pretty bad, which is why some people try to take the OS off and put Steam OS on there. Since it's Linux based, it's going to run a little bit better. So I am praying that this fixes the problems that Windows has had, bridging that gap, so that way it can truly be an Xbox friendly alternative and console, basically, right? And I just really hope that this is successful, because it's going to bring some competition to Steam, and it's going to make them step it up with their operating system. And I can't wait to see how this unfolds. You know, we're just gonna have to wait until people get this in their hands and see what they say. So that's pretty much where we're going. Okay, that's pretty much where we're going. I want to take a look at a few things. If you didn't know, with the Steam OS being better than the Windows operating system, I'm gonna go ahead and pull up these screenshots. So this is from Dave2D. I'm gonna link the video in the description. He definitely did a very good video showing why the Steam OS, or how the Steam OS basically runs, as opposed to the Windows alternative devices. So if you have he has a Legion Go S running off Windows, and he shows how the battery life is better on the Steam Deck, despite them playing the same exact game, right? He shows how on low to medium settings, same exact settings, that the Legion Go S, same exact device, when it has Steam OS installed on it, as opposed to Windows, has higher frame rates. So Cyberpunk, it has 59 on the Steam OS version. On the Windows version, has 46. Helldivers 70 on the Steam OS version, as opposed to 65. Average FPS, right? And so on and so forth. 75, 66, 63 to 64. That one's actually a little bit different. And then 76 to 66. So pretty much Steam OS is beating it in terms of battery life and frame rate for the same exact operating system, or the same exact device with a different operating system. So that's like one of the examples I'm bringing up whenever I talk about how SteamOS outperforms. And I mean, it's not like rocket science, right? Like SteamOS runs off Linux, so it's not going to be as heavy as Windows. But it's like, if you want Windows to be this like primarily tailored to gaming, you have to alter the operating system. So I'm very excited. Y'all let me know what you think. What do you think is going to come out of this new operating system, this new Xbox full screen experience? Do you think it's just going to stick to the mobile handheld market? Do you think it's going to roll out to the consoles? Do you think it'll eventually roll out to maybe PC if people wanted to put their PC on that? I probably wouldn't do it, because I just feel like it wouldn't be full Windows at that point. But maybe like if I had two PCs and one was a gaming PC, I'd do it. Do you think that's going to happen? What do you think the future is for Xbox now that they're, you know, kind of, you can see where they're pivoting? Do you think this is a good idea, bad idea? Y'all let me know down in the comments, man. Like, comment, subscribe. I appreciate you for checking out the video. If you made it to the end of the video, comment Xbox full screen experience, man. Let's get it out there. And this is probably gonna be my longest video. I had a lot to talk about, but I appreciate you tuning in. I'll see you boys later. Peace out.